And I'm Phil. We're back at our favourite coffee shop this week.
Hang on. You didn't do a line.
I can't remember a line.
Hello and welcome to Lights, Camera, Aggro, the podcast with two friends, one film and very little agreement. I'm Nicky.
And I'm Phil, Peter's friend, and we're back in our favourite coffee shop. And this week it's Nicky's turn to share a movie she loves. Today she's brought the 1992 film Peter's Friends.
And we'll get onto that in a sec, but first of all, how has your week been?
It's been a very, very busy week. I had a surprise early turn up of my daughter come home from America. That was really good. I've been to see the latest Mission Impossible film, which non-stop action. I think
It's not for me.
No, I wouldn't say it is for you, but you would be quite happy because all the positions of power within the movie are all female characters.
There's Tom Cruise not in anymore.
He's amazing in this movie. Hannah Waddington is the naval admiral.
Hannah Waddington or Hannah Waddingham?
Yeah, her as well. There's two of them in there. The president is female and black. And lots of key roles are given to women within the movie, so it's aligned right.
Do you wonder, sorry, I need to clear my throat. Do you ever wonder whether or not things were commissioned like a year ago or filmed a year ago with black female presidents, assuming that Kamala Harris would be president? I've seen another one. I think it was Paradise. No, not Paradise. It was Zero Day with Robert De Niro on Netflix that had a female president of colour. And I remember thinking, he kind of plays the sort of Joe Biden character brought back from retirement to help sort out this thing. And I thought then, this has been commissioned before the awfulness happened.
These two Mission Impossibles were shot back to back around COVID times, so it was way before that.
Okay.
Way before that. So I think they were just forward thinking. I think Christopher McQuarrie, who's the director of the film, and obviously Tom, star producer, sings the theme tune, writes the
song. To call him Tom.
Yeah. I think they aligned up quite well with quite left policies, which was quite good. So.
Well, maybe need to fact check that. I don't know. Okay, anyway, my week's fine. Let's move on. We've talked enough already.
But before we start, remember, this is going to be full of spoilers. If you haven't seen Peter's Friends, now's the time to pause the pod and come back to when you're done. We'll be waiting. So why did you choose Peter's Friends? Okay,
this is the first film I ever got out on video. Bit of trivia there for you. I had a friend in a video shop and she said, I really wanted to see this film. I knew it'd come out. And she was like, if you really want to see it, just come down and I'll sort you out with an account. So I walked down on a Friday night and got this film out and I loved it. And I knew I would love it before I even watched it. And the reason that was because, I'll say that again. The reason for that was because I had seen Kenneth Branagh's Much Ado About Nothing when it came out at the cinema, and that was 93. So at that point, I absolutely fell in love with Kenneth Branagh and decided I wanted to see everything he'd ever done. Some of the stuff sounded dull, like some of his earlier things.
Really?
I was like, Dead Again. Was it Dead Again? See, was that what he did? I can't remember. But when I knew that he'd done this, I was like, that sounds right on my street. So it was one of the first films I ever saw, where I chose to watch it. It wasn't just because it was on telly. I actively sought this out. And it ticks my boxes. I love films or stories, books, TV, where it's a bunch of characters who I've known each other for years and they get together and drama ensues. I've just watched, it's on Netflix at the moment, called 4 Seasons, and it's the same thing. It's a remake of an older one, but Tina Fey, they're all 50-something college friends who get together for holidays, and it's all as their lives unfold, what goes on. I watched The Big Chill last night, or the night before, which is the 80s version of this. This is the 90s version. So the 80s version is 30-somethings who are all kind of having existential crises about life. And they're now boomers. This is Glenn Close, it's Kevin Kline, it's Jeff Goldblum. So it's interesting that every generation tells this story. So this is the 90s version. And these people were about 15 years older than me. And I just thought they were aspirational and cool.
Okay.
What about you? What's your story of Peter's Friends?
So, I have seen many Kenneth Branagh directed and acted films before I've seen this. I have also seen Much Ado About Nothing before I came to this. And what I think is quite interesting, which we'll pick up later on in the podcast, is you can see he's honed his skills after this film.
This is an
his his directorial skills, and also would suggest some of his acting in this movie. When you see him in later movies, how he's changed. You know, we'll touch upon that later in the podcast.
Okay. So
Nicky's got a backup already. I can see that.
Well, I cannot wait to talk about this because it feels like proper nostalgia for me. So we'll start at the beginning. We have a pre-titles voiceover, and it's Stephen Fry's voice, who we very soon find out plays Peter. And he says, "There are some friends you know you will have for the rest of your life. You're welded together by love, trust, respect, or loss, or in our case, simple embarrassment." And we go straight into a scene. It's all done with one shot. So for the geeky film people, it's all one shot. It's all adolescence. It's very cutting edge. And we see a college group of mates doing a sort of cabaret-style review song about the London Underground. It's really naff and cheesy and silly, and they're wearing kind of stockings and suspenders and bowler hats and bow ties, all in full makeup. And it's a mixture of men and women who are performing for a very stuffy dinner party. And they do this silly comedic song, run off, and the camera follows them as they run into the kitchen, all kind of cringing about the fact they just completely died on stage. And it turns out that this is a dinner party held by Peter's dad, and Peter's dad has hired them to be the entertainment. None of the audience look like they're enjoying it. It's all quite funny. It's a great introduction to who these people are, the vibe of the film, it's comedy, and the fact that they're all just these young people about to start out in the world. New Year's Eve 1982, they take a photo, it goes into black and white, and it's freeze framed, and that's when the title starts.
So this is where I'll interject a little bit, where I thought, Christ, what has she got me watching? I didn't gel with this scene. It just looked too posh to me,
Posh.
It was done, the scene was done well, it was too posh and stuff, but what I will say then, as it fades into the title credits and things, Tears for Fears, Everybody Wants to Rule the World, one of my favourite songs of all time. And I will absolutely praise this movie for the soundtrack.
It's an amazing soundtrack. Yeah. It really anchors you to the time. I'm interested to dig deeper into what do you mean by too posh? Because it's obviously a judgment there. So
no, it was just like we've discussed as friends for years how I like Richard Curtis movies and that middle class England. And
it doesn't even exist.
Yeah, it doesn't exist.
Or if it does, it's not anywhere we've ever known.
Yeah. Where this is a level above that, you know, it's like stately home.
It's grounded gentry and titles and
so there's all sorts going on, and it just kind of put a barrier up there a little bit to begin with. I didn't gel with the cabaret scene where they're in suspenders and and
it felt really Cambridge football.
Yeah. But then, as soon as Kenneth Branagh ripped his shirt off, I thought, oh, there's Nicky in a happy place right there, right then.
I'm not objectifying him. I love him for his mind.
Yes, whatever.
Okay, so that's funny. So we'll come back to the too posh and all that. You're right. This is landed gentry. Not all of the characters, but certainly Peter. And we get the opening titles, and I don't want to sort of dwell too long on the whole of the opening because we have got other films to talk about, but the opening titles I think are so interesting to watch now. I mean, it's basically a sort of a photo montage, newsreel montage of people of the time, but heads of state. You see Thatcher, you see Gaddafi, do you? I can't remember now. You certainly see Reagan and Bush.
Yeah.
Did you see Donald Trump? This film came out in 1992, and he's in the background, and the person in the front of the camera is Ivana Trump, his ex-wife, and she's the famous person. Back then, I did not know who Donald Trump was, and it took me it was a long while before I ever really did, because I don't really know business people. But Ivana Trump is a bit of clip of her with her husband kind of looking on. It's just quite grim when you watch it now, and you think, oh, he was just a bit of a no-well, really, at the time.
I like the use of the title credits to show the passing of time. I thought that was very cleverly done.
Yeah.
And yeah, looking back on some of the issues of the day, it was just, yeah, it was good. I thought that was okay.
It does sort of immediately anchor it to our generation,
Yeah.
as in we would have been around watching these things on TV. Okay, so we now start the film. 10 years have passed. It is now 1992. And present day. It's our present day when we watch this for the first time. And Peter's dad has died. Peter's dad was played by Richard Bryars. I don't know if you saw it in the stuffy dinner party scene.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
see him.
Yeah.
So he's died, and Peter has to make some decisions. He's now Lord of the Manor. He's inherited the title, and we see him basically struggling to adult because now the world shit's got real because he's having to deal with stuff. The family lawyer is talking to him, going, "What are you going to do with the house and all this?" Peter is up a tree. No, he's not. Peter is up a ladder in a dressing gown, hanging Christmas decorations. At this point, he's not really in the mood to make any major decisions. But he's got one thought, and he's going to have a party. And then we see, prep for the party, we see Vera, who's one of our characters, who's Emma Thompson's mum in real life, Phyllis Delore.
Right.
We see her, the housekeeper, listening to Peter, explaining what to do.
I'll just interrupt there. I did not know that Emma Thompson's
Oh,
mum.
that's
Yeah,
good.
that was
People
that was
are
played
very
well.
interconnected.
That was played very, very well.
that.
And my one question was Branagh and Thompson a thing then together?
They were
Well, it's
married.
just right. Okay.
This was the golden years of
Yeah.
M&M.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were married. So yeah, this was when everybody, they were the sort of hot couple of the moment. We see Peter planning this party. Vera is helping. She's retiring because obviously her former employer has just died, and she doesn't really want to hang around with Peter because it's a bit weird, and she's getting on. So she's going to be retiring. She just said she'll stay with him until the first of the year, which makes me laugh. Who finishes a job on New Year's Day?
Yeah,
That always
yeah.
makes me laugh. That. But she's agreed to stay to the first of the year, and her son, who's called Paul, is also there helping. He's a teenager. He's meant to be about 17, and so they plan this party. We then see a series of scenes where all of their friends from the opening titles and the comedy sketch are arriving for this party. They're all coming for New Year 92, 93. Very quickly and easily, I think, we see their characters, or we see the bare bones of their characters through these introductions. So we have got Andrew and Carol. That's Kenneth Branagh and Rita Rudner. Rita Rudner co-wrote the script with her husband, Martin Bergman. And Rita, do you remember her in the 80s? She was on telly. I used to love watching her show.
What was the show?
She was like a stand-up comedian. She had I think it was on ITV, like a comedy.
I've probably seen it, but
It's like an American Victoria Wood,
right. Okay.
which is probably a really reductive thing because she was her own person, and Victoria Wood is her own person. But she was funny. I knew who she was at the time. I liked her comedy. But she's a co-writer, and she plays this sort of American wife of this old college friend. And they're clearly, they're not getting on. They're kind of, there's tension. We see them getting their luggage from the carousel. Then we see Roger and Mary, and that's Imelda Staunton and Hugh Laurie.
I love Imelda Staunton.
Oh, she's
One thing which this showed, which I'd never really looked at before, is how small she is. She stands out about how tiny she is, and obviously she plays one of the greatest villains in movie history, where she did in Harry Potter.
Oh,
That was just
that franchise. Great.
But she was so good in the hit part.
Yeah. I know she's on a show at the moment, a theatre show, and I'm not even sure where it is or what it is. And I should have fact-checked this before I even brought it up. But I keep seeing her do her curtain calls on Insta, and she's in a show with her daughter, who's called Bessie Carter. And Bessie is about 2 foot taller than her, so they're doing these curtain calls together.
yeah.
It's really funny. They are mother and daughter acting together at the moment on stage. So anyway, we know we learn about their characters because Mary is very anxious about leaving her child. She's got a little boy who looks about 1 or 2, not sure. And, she's got a million instructions for the nanny, a million bits of information. So she seems to be very fussy and protective, and they just take ages to leave the house. We see Emma Thompson playing Maggie, who is struggling to leave her cat. And it does feel a little bit shorthand, lonely cat woman.
Yeah.
But that's how it is. And she's wearing very baggy brown clothes.
Yeah, it's just, see, some of the things, I mean, this could be not due to direction or anything, this could be just like a 1992 movie. Stuff was signposted too much.
I mean, I don't have a problem with it, but it does make me laugh now going, I think you'd be less obvious than this now. It's not necessarily a less obvious film, and maybe that's okay. We'll talk about that at the end. So we see her leaving her cat, and that's a bit of a struggle. And then we see Sarah and Tony. Sarah is the friend from college, and Tony is... oh, no, it's not Tony. It's Tony Slattery. It's
Yeah.
Brian.
Yeah, for
These
me,
people merge in
for
my
me,
head.
the
It's like old friends.
weakest part of the movie, Tony
Harsh.
Slattery.
Harsh. He's the boyfriend. He's not part of the group from the uni.
Yeah.
But he's come along for the weekend, and we see them, and basically they are just shagging
Yeah.
all the time. They're on a steam train, and I
Yeah.
don't think we had steam trains in 1992. I think they
No, we
were-
did.
Did
They
we?
were just old.
I just feel like, well, they didn't
It
have them in
wasn't-
Liverpool. Put it that way. They'd been phased out.
Do you think
Sit-ups.
this was set in Liverpool?
No,
Well,
obviously.
there you
but
go.
I'm not saying that. But Liverpool isn't like cutting edge for all the new technology. So if I think it was made it to Liverpool, they would have had them.
It would have been
in
like a
other
special
areas.
journey train.
I wonder if
something.
they've made it like that to keep for American audiences, like a steam train, a bit of quaint Englishness. I don't know.
Possibly.
I mean, it's Googleable, and I haven't bothered, so maybe no one cares. It just felt like I don't think we had them then, and that's just for an audience. But anyway, who knows? But they're shag happy anyway, and it's quite amusing that that's basically all.
That's just their
Brian's
relationship.
character and
Yeah.
their relationship. So they all arrive at this big stately house, and I find this film moving at various times. This is one of the times I find it quite moving, when they just all have this sort of reunion on the driveway, hugs and sort of, oh, how are you doing? I just think I think you're right, it is a posh film in the sense that Peter is very posh, and these are people who clearly have got very well paid jobs for 31-year-olds. I don't think that would be quite the same now. And yet, there's something incredibly accessible and relatable about catching up with old friends. That's a universal feeling. And I always find it quite moving when I see them all like hugging on the driveway.
So this was where I will reference Branagh and his directing and also acting in this scene, where I felt like it was over the top acted. Everybody in this movie is an amazing actor. I love the body of work that I've seen myself. I haven't seen every film that Hugh Laurie's in or Imelda Staunton, but I love the stuff that I've seen. But this just felt like it was more like stage play acted rather than movie acted. It was too in your face. Oh my God! Hey! And like,
Do you not
I
feel
just
like it was real though, that they were all excited to see each other after a couple of years or whatever?
no, because I don't see that as how people would act in real life. I am
That's how
not.
I am when I see my uni mates. I don't because I don't.
But maybe
see
you're
them.
posher than I am.
No, I
Maybe
don't
you're.
think it's about posh. I think it's just. Okay, I don't think it's about posh here. This is the bit where I think it is universal. I just think when you haven't seen someone for ages, because I think about it, it's like they've all lived together presumably for 3 years, and then they've all gone back to wherever they live. And so this is it's a reconnection with their youth, it's a reconnection with their friendship, it's a reconnection with their core group of the people that have made core memories. To me, it feels so authentic that you're just so excited to see each other.
Yeah, I get the excitement, but I just think the way it was acted, it was just a little bit hammy for me.
So this
and I
bit-
did, if you recall, when we discussed this and I watched the trailer for this, I did say the scene in the trailer is this gathering of them all getting together, and I did say to you, I said it just looks a bit hammy. Yeah,
Well,
but
this is one of the first scenes where I feel moved, where I feel like, oh, these guys. And like I said, when I was 15, I wanted to be these people. I didn't want to go to Cambridge. That wasn't it. And I didn't want to go on stage and do comedy things. And I didn't want to live in a posh house. There was none of it's not like the specifics were what I wanted. I just wanted to be with a group of mates like this. It felt very aspirational, but also very relatable. This is a real life dream. This is not a silly dream. This is something that I can do, and it's something I have done. I've got mates, so I do catch up with every so often, and it's lovely.
Well, this scene made me not connect with anybody.
Wow.
So,
Okay.
from my working class background.
We've all got a working class background. That's what I just think. This friendship transcends that. But anyway, obviously you don't agree. That's fine. That's the point of the podcast. We see very quickly there's a core group and there are outsiders. And the core group are the friends from the photograph, the university friends. And the outsiders are Brian, Tony Slattery,
Yeah.
who is just portrayed as a bit charmless and a bit of an oaf.
Yeah, he's got no clue about anything.
Yeah. And then the other outsider is Carol, who is the American wife of Andrew.
Yeah.
And again, these two people were not part of the core group, but also they are they make faux pas so that they blatantly show they don't fit in. So Carol sees the best bedroom for herself, not realising it's Peter's.
Yeah.
And that's just like, oh my God. And then Brian ends up carrying in her bags and getting tipped without no one realising that he's actually a guest. And it's a
I did see that. That was
Just
actually quite fun. That did make me laugh. Yeah, that did make me laugh. I didn't laugh loads in the film, but there was scenes where, it did chuckle. That was quite good.
Just makes me laugh.
I'm a guest. Oh, really?
Yeah. Why did you carry my bags?
Yeah.
I don't know. So these are outsiders, and it's clear from the start. They don't fit. We also have Vera and Paul, the housekeeper and the kind of, I guess, odd jobs guy, helper, whatever.
He's like the groundsman type thing, yeah.
And what I think is interesting is they aren't part of that inner circle either. They weren't part of one of the uni friends, and yet they've been around then. Certainly they were 10 years ago. And obviously Vera has been the housekeeper since Peter has been however old. So it feels like as much as they aren't part of the inner group, they understand where they fit in to that group. They're not awkward. They know, it's a horrible phrase, they know their place, but they do, and their place is adjacent to that group in its own little area. And there's no tension or awkwardness about that. They just are aware how it all fits together. With Carol and Brian, absolute, don't fit in at all.
So Vera is the one I was drawn to.
Oh, she's brilliant.
Yeah, I thought she was really well acted. I thought that she sort of like the heart of the movie. Towards the end of the movie more than she's the heart of the movie.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I really liked her. The son, Paul, wasn't really too bothered about,
Do you know who he is?
Go on.
So the actor is called Alex Lowe. Again, at 15 I had a big crush on him. And he is the guy that plays Clinton Baptiste from Phoenix Nights.
No way.
Yeah. That's Alex Lowe. He's
no way.
Yeah. And
I'm getting a word.
Exactly. He's done loads of stuff, loads of characters as well. He's really good on characters with voices and accents and stuff like that. But it always makes me laugh now when I see Clinton Baptiste. I knew you when you were a teenager. I don't think he's a teenager in this. The actor is not a teenager, I don't think. But I have fond memories of his performance here.
That's definitely
blown your mind.
Would not. That has blown my mind. I will now appreciate the movie so much more.
Okay, so we see the characters start to catch up individually. There's little conversations between different people. Vera's sort of telling people which bedrooms they're all in. We find out a bit more about Roger and Mary. This is Imelda Staunton and Hugh Laurel. And something bad has clearly happened in the past, and we don't know what yet.
Yeah.
But they are on the edge, and we don't know about it, but there's something traumatic going on. We also see, and I really love this scene as well, and you're probably going to rubbish it before my very eyes. We see Andrew, and again, it felt relatable to me, even though I'm not like a big posh house in Oxbridge and all that stuff. It felt relatable. We see Andrew, who is Kenneth Branagh, having quite a sweet conversation with Peter. And this scene with Andrew and Peter, I found this really moving. I don't know if you would, because you've already decided you hate this film, I can tell. You can tell me later. Andrew comes to Peter while he's chopping the firewood, and it's just a touching scene where he basically, I'm sorry to hear about your dad. Because obviously Peter's dad has just died.
I've just come to check that you're doing that right.
Oh yeah, exactly, yeah. Like, oh no, you're doing it all wrong, I'll have to help you.
Yes, exactly. Two posh boys trying to chop wood.
It is two posh boys chopping wood, but they are talking about something that is human and universal, the death of a parent. And they're clearly very good friends. These two are the besties, I guess, in the group, it's clear. And Peter said, thank you for the letter. And my dad really liked you. It's just lovely things that I'm at an age now where my friends' parents are dying fairly regularly, it seems, and it feels very relatable. This, it doesn't matter about class or financial status or anything. This is something that happens to everybody, and I found this a touching scene. Did you or not?
I thought it was a nice scene. Made me laugh that I'm checking your chopping wood. Because
they take the piss out of each other as well. There is comedy in this.
Yeah. Because I just thought probably neither of them, Kenneth Branagh nor Stephen Fry, would know how to chop the wood properly. Just maybe back then, it just made me chuckle a little bit. Yeah. But it was a nice scene.
Yeah.
It was a nice scene. Like, you presuming I hate the movie already, right? Well, there is some nice scenes in the movie.
Oh, I know. I mean, every scene.
And one thing I'll point out at this point, there is two scenes in this movie which I did dislike. They will come up later on.
I can guess what they are.
No,
I'm not going to guess now. I'll guess when they come.
Yeah.
Then that's not fair.
It's not the actual scene, it's the cinematography of the scene.
Oh, okay, maybe I can't guess.
Yeah.
Okay. We also see Maggie talking to Andrew later on. And they're just catching up, old mates. Married couple in real life, always amuses me. But they're talking, and she basically is explaining how she's read a book recently about how, that's a self-help book, how you might already know your mate, your future mate, because relationships are based on friendship. So maybe it's a good idea to actually start to date one of your best mates. And she has decided to set her cap at Rita.
Yes.
And Andrew's a bit like, really?
Yeah.
And then she says something like, oh, so is he gay now? So that's already been, they've always wondered, you know, so it's not clear to that friendship group. And he is part of that friendship group. There's a few times where you watch this film and think times have changed. And I feel like in this friendship group now, you would be clear about, or you'd be a lot more clear about people's sexuality.
Yeah.
And Andrew says, well, I don't know. Again, as a best friend, it's a bit strange, but I don't know. He's never really been interested in anyone. That's the point. He's not interested in anyone. And that's where we leave that. Peter is the glue that brings them all together. He's like the sort of the central force that they all have links with. So if we're not counting the titles of the film, this is our first montage we're about to have. We have some montages in this. This is a montage-heavy film. Everyone's getting ready to go down for the evening meal, the first night. I think this must be the 30th of December. Because it's the night before New Year's.
One thing I felt like was a bit sort of strewn in a little bit and
What's
over
that
the
word,
top.
Strewn?
Just thrown in.
That's
just thrown in, right? Was the fact that it was Christmas. It looked like the least Christmas film ever. And every now and again they signposted a giant inflatable snowman outside to go, look, this is set around the holiday season.
It's New Year, isn't it? But I think that's interesting because
it doesn't look like New Year at any point in terms of the weather, in terms of...
Oh, it does. The misty morning. We see Peter wandering the grounds in.
Yeah.
It looks cold.
It doesn't. So in the misty scene, yes.
Yeah.
But other scenes doesn't look at that time of year at all.
I don't think that. I don't agree with you. I think it feels very wintry, but I also think
Lots of green leaves on the trees.
But it's post Christmas, so it's that period of time where things are a little bit flat and grey. It's not all the joy and sparkle of Christmas, as we know when Maggie tries to give out a press. It's all a bit. Oh, we did this last week. It's not Christmas, and so it's this. I think it fits the vibe of a sort of almost a sort of flat, forced energy that Peter's trying to force this reunion for reasons we later find out.
100% get that.
Yeah.
But as I say, they walk through trees with green leaves on and things, and that's.
I've not noticed that. To be fair, I'll have to go back and have a
eye for detail.
Lols, yeah, of course. Yeah. So we have our first montage, and it is everyone getting ready to go down to dinner, and it starts off great. You know, the music is brilliant. I think it's Don't Get Me Wrong by the Pretenders.
Yeah.
I think it's that one, isn't it? I had the soundtrack on cassette, incidentally, so I know all these songs very well. I just can't remember where they all fit in. And it's full of laughter and catching up, and everyone's sitting around, and it's all lovely. And there's another montage quite quickly where they're all eating. And again, it sort of signposts the characters. So we see Rita Rudner's character, Carol, who is obsessed with her weight, and also like the fat levels in the cream, and she's eating water out of a bowl.
So can I just say this was signposted straight away that she was into all the fitness, but she was obviously going to have a scene later on in the movie.
Of course, it's an eating disorder. It's the 90s. Yeah. Of course, that feels like that's just par for the course. And she's also, I don't know if we've said before, she's a TV actress. She's on the show that Andrew is supposed to be writing. He's a script writer in Hollywood. So she's famous in smaller circles of people who watch it. No one around the table has watched her show, which again, she's the outsider. Yeah. You know? But then tension kicks in. We do have tension. Mary is on edge the whole time. In terms of phone call, she is assuming it's the worst, it's the nanny. We still don't really know why.
Thinking her child's died. I think that is reference. No, I think that's, no, because somebody says to her, your child hasn't died or it won't die or something like that. I'm sure they do.
Nobody says that. What happens is she references around the table something about, I can't remember what, it's something like not having energy. And when I was pregnant with the twins, and she references the twins. Now we know she left one child at home, so I think at that point.
So maybe that's what I picked up. But I'm sure.
Thinking she definitely doesn't sound normal. Trust me, I know this film off by heart.
My one viewing at 1 o'clock in the morning.
Don't act like you know this inside out. You didn't even bring notes today. I don't even know how you can possibly be sharing your opinions with any confidence.
Because it is all in the brain.
Lols, well, something has to be.
So the scene. So you have the montage.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
we get back. There's tension is creeping in, and there's these like, uneasy moments. So when she mentions the twins, there's the tone shifts, and everyone looks a bit uncomfortable. So we realise, okay, something's happened.
Yeah.
And it powers on where Brian, who is Tony Slattery, I have to keep saying Brian, who is Tony Slattery, and I don't like that you think he's the weak link, because I think he does his job very well here. He's meant to be a charmless, classless oaf. He's meant to be an irritant to everyone around that table who were all putting up with him because of Sarah, because she's their friend. I think he's doing that job well, because he doesn't fit in it.
So I want to add here, I actually really like Tony Slattery. He's
very sad that he died.
Yeah, he was a great comedian. I loved him on things like Whose Line Is It Anyway? Some of his stand-up, absolutely amazing. I just felt like he's not really an actor.
Well, he is. You just don't like him in this role.
Well, maybe it was just poorly directed. His choice of how he played the role.
I think he did his job that he needed to do, which was to be annoying and irritating and to stand and not fit in, to not gel. He is like that. And what I find really, he keeps making a joke about Greta Garbo that I still don't get. I didn't get it when I was 15, and I thought it's because it wasn't clever enough or wasn't like worldly enough.
Maybe the idea that it's not a joke. Yeah.
But he just keeps ploughing on with these awful anecdotes. Go on, you want to
So this scene as a whole, where they're sat in the dining room, is what I was just referencing a few moments ago about what I disliked about it. There is a camera shot where it pans slowly across the room, and there's a effing big great Christmas tree in the way as the camera's panning. But it's not like the camera pans and it goes past this Christmas tree. It's like on the Christmas tree for ages as it goes past, and you can hear them talking, and you just got this stinking big Christmas tree full shot while it goes round. And I just thought it didn't work for me.
Our outsider status as viewers, that we're not in this niche little group.
No, it just didn't work for me. I just thought I like panning shots like they did, but it was done too slowly to go past the tree.
Okay. But Tony Slattery, also known as Brian, there's a couple of bits in this film that I will be critical of. And one of the bits that just jars slightly, and it feels like this has been thrown in because of Whose Line Is It Anyway? When he's going, look, I can make up songs. Give me a word, any word, I'll make a song about it. That's what he did all the time on Whose Line Is It Anyway in the early 90s. And I get it. They've got Tony Slattery. Let's do something that Tony Slattery can do. Or that's implied, and that's what they're about to do. And I don't like that, because it feels like it takes you out the film to make sure Whose Line Is It Anyway? But that's my one little piece. But what happens is Brian, let's give him his character name, Brian is fairly tactless and doesn't really read the room and doesn't really get the fact that the tone changed and tension happened when Mary mentioned the twins. And he blunders on talking about, you, Roger and Mary are jingle writers. Oh, you write jingles, and have you ever thought of using your twins? Because one twin, could be used, and the other one. And everyone is silent, and the tone is massively shifted. And in the end, Maggie has to say, Brian, because one of their twins died. And this is immediately then explains Mary's over-caution, fussiness, panic, constant stress about phone calls. It stops us from thinking that she's this overbearing mother to being like, oh God, you went through a trauma, this is awful. And it really humanises their characters that we've sort of just seen kind of just be these sort of fussy parents. Not so much Roger, he seems to be weary with the fussing, but it humanises them as a couple, and it's a real depth. It's a real depth of the film, I think.
Yeah, I think obviously I have a lot of complaints about the film, but what I do think is even though I don't rate some of the acting in the movie, the characters are fleshed out well. I think when you get into each character's storyline, obviously Kenneth Branagh and his American wife and how they're having their stuff, and obviously Imelda Staunton, and it was just really well put together about each character. They all had a proper thing.
I like how you start off at the beginning where you meet them, you think they're almost sort of slightly stereotypically draw fussy parents, lonely Catwoman, sort of snipey, bickery Hollywood couple, and then you get to the end of the film and they are, like you say, fleshed out, and those pencil sketches have been coloured in, and we feel a lot more.
That's a good way of describing it. I'm not giving you any credit for that, but
honestly,
I think that's a good way to describe that.
So that's obviously a real mood shift when we learn about the fact that they've lost a child. It's really great. It's really sad. And it explains Mary. Then the evening starts to unravel. So I mentioned before, Maggie tries to give everyone Christmas presents, and they're all a bit like, "Oh, I didn't get you anything. I'm so sorry. Oh no, it's not." And she just loses it and freaks out because she's embarrassed. There's a phone call, which Mary rushes to in a panic, but it's not for her. She comes back going, "It's not for me, Brian. It's your wife."
Yeah, which was the thing for me before. Why would she have the phone number of the bloody stately home?
We don't overanalyze these things. You know, she's probably looked it up at Who's Who or whatever, the Yellow Pages even. And so that kind of makes everything descend. Mary then is sort of going, "Oh, I don't know, you have the energy, Sarah," you know, and also mentions in a kind of casual way how Andrew used to be engaged to Sarah till she dumped him. Harold did not know this.
Yes.
Her husband used to be engaged to one
not
of the people.
very happy about that.
So she goes off to bed. And then Brian comes back and he's left his wife. So more drama, all just after this meal. We then see Andrew and Carol have a row in their bedroom. They're not at all happy. They're not in a good place. It's not really about Sarah. They both acknowledge that. That's not why. You know, there's a whole bunch of things going on. They're really struggling. And so eventually Andrew returns to the group in the sort of, I don't know if it's like a little lounge or the end bit of the dining room, I'm not sure, but it's a cosier area. And then there's a really lovely scene, I think, that ensues. There's been bickering and backstabby things and rows and all stress. And then we just see them remind themselves who they were or who they still are deep down when they're together. And they sing a song together, The Way You Look Tonight. And Imelda Staunton starts. And we know, or I know now, that she is an amazing singer. She's done all sorts of musical theatre. Yeah, she is.
Yeah, I did not know this.
At the time, I did not know that. That was a complete surprise. I did know that Ken could sing because I'd seen him do stuff previously. But all of it, and obviously Hugh Laurie and Stephen Fry at that point were doing the bit of Fry and Laurie, and they were playing the piano. He was playing the piano all the time. So again, in some ways you could say it's a bit shoehorned in, like the Whose Lines Anyway reference was, because Fry and Laurie was always on the piano. And yet, this is a beautiful scene with a really lovely song where they all kind of join in gradually and harmonise together, beautifully harmonising. Tony Slattery, also known as Brian, is still sitting on the sofa, so he's still an outsider. The other outsider's gone to bed. Carol's upstairs. Tony is on the sofa, and the rest of the group, the core group, are around the piano, and it's like harmony has been literally restored, both audibly and within the tensions. It's lovely. Agree?
Yeah, I thought it was good, and Imelda Staunton singing, I was blown away.
So before they turn to bed for that first night, there's one last panic, it's a phone call, and it is from the babysitter, and so Mary obviously is in a spin, and she's sort of going, we have to go home. And Roger then is sort of, he gets annoyed by that, and the others have to talk her down, and she gets quite snappy about it. So obviously you haven't got children, you know, but she gets snappy about it, but ultimately she's talked down. And it's again, the grief is real. Their storyline feels so human and so real and so relatable. And I say relatable, I haven't lost a child, so that's an old thing to say, it's not relatable. But any posh barrier, I think, is taken away when you've got real life emotion.
Yeah, I thought that with that storyline was very, very well done. Obviously, Imelda Staunton, she's just an amazing actress.
Yeah. And Hugh Laurie, I mean, this really, I'd only seen him in comedy until this point, and then he really can do some serious stuff. Because the scene that follows, everyone goes to bed, the scene that follows with them, it's a really hard, like they basically are at breaking point, and they both talk, honestly, maybe for the first time since the tragedy has happened. And Mary is in tears, and Roderick says, look, you know, they've been thinking of leaving, and she's like, oh, leave me, and he's like, no, don't want to. But it feels incredibly honest and raw. It feels so raw. And you were talking about Vera being the heart of the film, which I do agree with, but I think these two are the heart of the film as well. This feels like you really want these two to be okay.
Yeah.
You really root for these people. This is not just sort of poshos banging on in a comedy review after uni. This is heart and soul of living. You know, it's tragic. So that scene where they talk, I find incredibly moving. In another bedroom, Sarah is now avoiding Brian. She does not want to have sex with him. But up until that point, that's all they've done.
Yeah.
She's filing a nail, sitting on the toilet seat, which makes me laugh. And then there's Maggie, and this is slightly less serious now. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's just done less seriously. She's decided tonight's the night. She's going to approach Peter, so she knocks on his bedroom door, and he opens it a bit groggy, and she flashes her tits and says, "Fill me with your little babies."
Classic Emma Thompson.
It's so funny, and I love that these two are like really good mates in real life.
Yeah.
You know? And one of my favourite lines, and I thought you would bring this. You know when we start with a line at the beginning, and then you just bottled it this morning. one of the lines that he says is, thing is, I'm not really in the vagina business.
I could never quote that.
It just makes me laugh. And I just think of this. Tony says, I think of it in my head all the time. I probably don't say it very often, but I think about it. They talk, she's mortified, but they're okay. They'll make amends. He basically says, I'm not really into anyone. I'm not going to, She says at one point, but you slept with Sarah. And he jokes, like, well, the Archbishop of Canterbury slept with Sarah.
Yeah.
So, so clearly he's dabbled there too, and so has Andrew. But yeah, she's mortified, but she's okay.
So could I just say at this point,
Yes.
right, I was still waiting for the MacGuffin of why they got together. I mean, it comes a bit later on, obviously, but I was like, why have they suddenly all got together after all these years and stuff?
Did you not feel like it was just mates getting together because his dad's just died?
No, I thought there was going to be a bigger purpose to them getting together.
I didn't have that at all.
Which we'll talk about a bit later on.
Absolutely. We get another montage, of course, and it's Tina Turner. What's love got to do with it?
Yeah.
Soundtrack in this one. We just see everyone in bed, and what I think is one of the most perfectly beautiful scenes, and it's just a shot. It's not like not much happens. Roger and Mary are holding each other asleep, and that just feels like, oh, they've healed, or they are now going to heal. Rather, that feels like they have turned a corner, and it feels so satisfying because there's quite a long scene with them before being very upset and talking. So that makes me feel with warm feelings. We also see Sarah and Brian wide apart, so they're very different. And we see Andrew is on his own. Carol's gone missing, and that's because Carol is in the kitchen. Yeah,
eating everything. The trifle, wasn't it? It was a trifle.
I can't be doing with any of it. When we did have the montage of the meeting, it did make me want to have a roast, right? Because it does look nice, but I'm not into the trifle. So she's obviously presenting as having an eating disorder, and she sort of says, I'm much healthier now because I now work out straight after. Well,
basically Emma Thompson comes down, doesn't she, into this, and then she's on the floor doing like some kind of squats or something. And she's like, what's going on? And she went, I've just ate the earth and I'm now working it off.
And I don't know whether or not this was a sensitive portrayal of eating disorders.
I don't think it was at all.
It feels like we'd do this better now, and we would play it for comedy maybe, because it is played for comedy. This is Carol's, it's Carol's nonsense. It's what it's presented as. It's the American woman on TV's nonsense. But I mean, I don't think it's an ideal scene in modern day telling, but hey, whatever. And Maggie does turn up because she's going to drink herself into a coma. Because she got turned down. Carol, I like her in this scene because she is empathetic. She listens. She's still being Carol. She's still sort of, her solution to Maggie's problems is to give her a makeover. But she listens and she wants to help. She wants to help, and she's aware that there's been an issue there. She sussed that she was going to come on to Peter, which I think shows a real level of insight. So that's the end of the night basically. First day's over.
I will say, the makeover, when it eventually happens, probably completely different to how they would do a makeover these days. They just basically...
It's a style.
So they just curl the ends of Emma Thompson's hair and put red lipstick on it. That's about it. That's about all they do.
They change their clothes, so the clothes are deliberate dowdy, I think, at this point. They're brown and baggy.
See, this is the thing, like... Emma Thompson, no matter what you put her in, is a very attractive woman. So she can wear brown and dowdy and still. There was no makeover needed.
I'd rather wear the brown and dowdy baggy clothes that she wears than have to be all trussed up in a corset like the Sarah character, the Emmanuel character. So we have the misty morning that we've already talked about. It's first thing in the morning. You get the impression it's really early doors. Peter is roaming the grounds, clearly something on his mind. And then a scene that I don't think holds up at all well. We basically see Sarah asleep. And Tony Slattery, I'm not going to call him Tony Slattery now because it is not Tony Slattery. Brian basically tries to have sex with her while she's asleep, which we now know is rape. And I don't think that's not how they don't want us to think that Brian is a rapist at this point. So that's not what they're going for. They're going for, again, I can't stress it enough, harmless hope. Somebody doesn't get the feed the room. It really did make me go, ooh. That's from the past.
So this is on the ban list now from watching again?
It makes me... It's just interesting how things change. Because at the time when I watched this, didn't think anything wrong with it. Just thought, oh yeah, she's not into him and that's it. So then we get a breakfast scene where people are congregating in the kitchen, coming down at different times. Andrew and Peter have been chatting about a screenplay they started to write, or a film script they started to write back in the day, which Andrew then left and deserted Peter because he got the call from Hollywood. It makes me laugh how these 31-year-olds, so they must be 31 if they all did a 3-year degree, 31-year-olds are working at Hollywood, or the top jingle writers, like 31-year-olds now are literally living in their parents' houses and not able to kind of get anywhere.
Again, this is
creatives.
And this is where I felt a slight disconnect, because that is not how life is. And obviously we're looking at the posh elite here. They're not just normal people. They are in the posh elite.
Peter is posh. That's definite. But we don't know the others have got the same.
Well, they are top jingle writers, the Hollywood writers.
They've got jobs now that imply, but we don't know that their background is posh and elite. But
hang on, they know Peter. How would they not know Peter?
It implies that they have to do that, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, you don't have to go to a private school to get into Cambridge. Less people do, but I'm just saying, we've got to keep it real for a minute.
Well, if Boris was their mates back then.
Oh my God. So it's a good mood at breakfast. Then Maggie turns up looking all glamorous.
Yeah.
And you don't like how she looks, but that's fine.
I didn't say I don't like how Maggie looks. I said the makeover's done differently to how that would be done today.
Well, of course, it's different fashions and all sorts. And the only people that haven't come down, Sarah turns up at some point, the only people that haven't come down are Roger and Mary. And everyone's a bit like, oh, what's that? And then they hear a noise. And Roger and Mary, judging by the creaks from the ceiling, are making sweet, sweet love.
Yeah.
Which is lovely. I just think that
finally
they're the heart of the film, and they've gone through a thing, and we've gone through it with them to a certain extent. So we were in that scene in their bedroom, and anything good that happens now for them, I'm all for. But tensions soon boil up again.
Yes.
Andrew and Sarah get into a bit of a slanging match. Andrew and Sarah, who we now know were engaged at one point, she storms off. And she's outside, and she finds herself flirting with Paul, the teenager.
Yeah, pulling her knee-high socks up as high as she possibly can. And also the position of where he is sat and her legs slightly open as she's pulling up the knee-high socks. Well, when you rewatch this band film again, you will now see it.
But she stopped herself anyway, because she's like, oh, what am I doing? She knows.
Yeah, but Brian also sees this.
Yeah, he does. And he's obviously all at 6s and 7s, because the day before he was just getting laid whenever he wanted, and now suddenly it's all changed. And also he's left his wife.
Yes.
And so she finds Andrew in the study, and they have a chat. And this is the bit now, and I'm going to be, again, slightly critical, but it's not, I don't think it's this film's fault, it's this genre of film's issue. St. Elmo's Fire does this as well. And it's when you've got adults who are, working, healthy, generally, who feel like their life has no meaning because it's not as good as they thought it would be when they were younger. And I think there's an issue. I think that's a valid experience, and I'm sure I felt that at times too. But I always feel a little bit boo-hoo, cry me a river. Do you know what I mean? So the line that really makes me laugh, it shouldn't make me laugh because he's saying it seriously, is Andrew says, kindergarten, school, university, black hole. And you go, oh, get a grip. I do feel like that, but I feel like that with all these films that have this vibe. And I think when I was 15, I probably didn't. I probably thought, yes, that will be what it's like. And now I think, well, it can be like that for a bit, because we all have shit, and we all have to deal with it, and we all have to adult at some point. Maybe I'm just a bit cynical because I'm older. I'm certainly a lot older than these characters are at this point. Any thoughts?
I thought the scene played out as it did. I thought, it was starting to signpost things were going to go tits up. Yeah, tits up for everybody except for Roger and Mary.
Yeah, and they really have gone through a black hole, and that's the point. I think this is where sympathies to Andrew can wane, because he's, it's fair to say he's an alcoholic and he's dealing with that.
Yeah.
He is.
So I didn't know that at this point.
Well, they say at the table the first night, Carol says, "Oh no, we're not going to drink. We're AA." So we know that they're going through that. So that's.
I just thought the car had broke down. No, I must have missed that one line there. So I must have missed that. Yeah.
And so obviously that is something to deal with, and that's not nothing. That is a big deal. Yeah. But I think that compared to the Roger and Mary storyline, I just feel a bit like, get over yourself, will you? Mm-hmm. So Sarah and Andrew, they sort of bond over their shit life choices, and they end up having a little kiss, which is so meaningless it's untrue. They're just having a moment. Yeah. But Carol walks in at that exact moment and sees it. and she's taken a job. Her agent's been on. She's been offered a job, and she
In a
says,
film. It's in a film.
Andrew, it's a film. And her agent, Bernie, has rung, which makes me laugh because I've got relatives called Bernie. And she's going tonight. And she was going to turn it down, but now she's seeing that they've had this little kiss. She's now going. And to be fair, they do have a sort of sensible conversation by the car when she's leaving, which makes me like Carol a lot more again. She's vulnerable. She's upset. She thinks they're having a break, basically, to sort of sort themselves out, and they'll see what's going to happen. It feels like their marriage is over.
Yeah.
It does feel like that. It feels like they've said goodbye. She's upset, and she goes. Sarah then finds a bit of time to talk to Brian on his own, and she realises, I think we've all realised, that she's someone who likes what she can't have, and when she gets it,
She
it
doesn't
loses
want
all
it,
appeal, yeah, and that's her issue to deal with. So she speaks to him and says, speak to your wife type thing. He's got a kid as well, which we didn't mention. He did mention it, we didn't. But the thing that makes me laugh so much, and I'm going to have to explain it without laughing, and you will not find it as funny as I do, so already I've built this up. It's when he's standing outside, his wife pulls up in a car, she speeds up, he puts his head in the door and goes, hello, and she says, get in, and then he gets in and she speeds away. She doesn't look up, she looks straight ahead the whole time. I find that the funniest thing ever.
I thought it was really funny. I think it's a Vauxhall Nova.
I don't know,
I think it's a white Vauxhall
I don't know.
Nova.
And it feels like he's done this before.
Yeah.
He's always having to pick him up from weekends away.
Yeah, it did to have that vibe of like, oh, he's done it again.
Yeah,
You know?
it always makes me laugh. Just so he goes, hello, get in. So anyway, so we're back in the house, and Sarah hears moaning coming from Maggie's room, and she's worried for her. She thinks she might be ill, so she knocks on the door and ends up pushing it in, and she sees a scene. Maggie is straddling Paul on the bed, riding him, as Sarah says, like a rodeo. Now, this scene potentially has also not held up quite so well.
I didn't see any issue with the scene. I just thought she walked in.
I thought you'd have a massive problem with this scene with your reverse sexism hat on.
No, not at all. He's
17.
Well, he looked 34, so.
But the character is 17 and she's 31, and I thought you were going to come at me and go, if this was reversed and it was a man shagging a 17-year-old girl, we'd all be moaning.
My mum was 18 and my dad was late 30s, so yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I don't think that would play out in modern times now, but I didn't have an issue. I don't have an issue. It's Emma Thompson. I mean, come on.
Well, I don't have an issue that Paul is bothered by it.
Yeah.
And I don't think he's.
I don't think he's been coerced.
No,
or
I didn't.
anything
Oh no,
like
I think
that.
it's consensual. It certainly implies that he's quite happy about it.
Yeah.
But I think you would maybe make the character 20 today or something, not actually legally a child.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't look 17. He looks older.
That's the excuse men have been giving for millennia about why they shagged a 15-year-old.
Yeah, but I like I say, Emma Thompson can't do no wrong in my book. So
I mean, it's interesting. We see where your line is drawn. Emma Thompson can do anything.
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. I thought you'd have an issue. Okay. I think I have an issue with that now, in that he's a child legally. But yeah.
He's past consenting age.
No, he isn't.
17, 16's consenting age.
He's legally a child till he's 18 then.
But he's 16 and you can have sex from 16 onwards.
But
so there's no laws being broken.
I think a
there's
31-year-old woman has got a case to answer.
There's no law being broken.
I think these days, that would be changed now because there's too many icky things about it. And that's not the point of the scene. The point of the scene is to go, yeah, you go, girl, you pulled.
Yeah.
Which isn't that's not the vibe.
Yeah, I didn't have an issue.
Fair play. So Carol's gone. Brian is gone. We're back to our core group. But before we see them all together again at the New Year's Eve meal, Andrew hits the bottle big time. We see him basically like down a bit of vodka, I guess.
He has one drink and then it's like, this is good again. And then just takes the bottle.
So that is obviously, we know that he's an alcoholic. We know that's just not a drink for a scene and then he's going to be fine. And it's now New Year's Eve and everyone comes down for dinner. And it's going well until Andrew turns up. Everyone's like chatting and they're explaining that Brian is gone, and Sarah says, I'm fine, don't worry about it. Andrew turns up absolutely wankered.
Sloshed.
Yes. And we kind of cut quite quickly from that to it's 5 to midnight. And he is just this dribbling wreck at the table. And
Insulting.
he's been really horrible. He's been rude to everyone. He's insulting everyone. He's kicking off. He's dead sweary. He has a go at Mary for ringing home. And at this point, no one is going to slag off Mary because we are Team Mary and Roger.
Yeah.
He slags off Roger. He calls Brian a human piece of excrement. It just makes me laugh. And the whole thing's really grim and unpleasant. And everyone starts to be at each other's throats. And this is not the New Year's Eve Peter had planned. And he's trying to jolly them along and say, come on, guys, you know. And Andrew rants on. And eventually he does say, why the fuck did you invite any of us? And he keeps pressing, why now? Why this year?
And this is where I was getting to. What's the MacGuffin of getting everybody together?
No, I did not have that feeling until this scene when I watched this the first time. I just was happy that this was a gang getting together. But Andrew rants and raves and pushes it, and Peter is like getting more and more annoyed by the fact that this is not how he wanted it to be. It's getting closer to midnight, a couple minutes, and then he cracks. Peter cracks. And this is what we've been building to. He says he's got an announcement to make. And he's found out recently that he is HIV positive. And everyone is stunned. And it chimes midnight. And no one can speak. They're all just staring at him. And he's sort of saying, come on, guys, Happy New Year. He wants to toast with champagne. There are glasses all there. And he says, and this is a bit that also I find really moving. He says, come on, chaps, don't let me down. He needs them.
Yeah.
And then somebody, a voice from the other side of the room says, Happy New Year, Peter. And it's Vera.
Yeah,
It's
that was
Vera.
great. That was great. So, like, at this moment, I was trying to figure out if she knew that he was HIV positive at this point. I was thinking, when it was building up to this, I was thinking, had he got cancer? I didn't think HIV positive. I was thinking that he got cancer and he didn't have long left to live, and that's why he got everybody together. But the scene was quite moving, and as I was watching it, at that moment, I was trying to figure out in my head, this was filmed, was it 1992?
92.
And I was like, was that when you become HIV positive and it was still, you were going to, yeah.
This was, he was basically announcing he's got like terminal cancer and however many months left. It was a death sentence.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting to watch it now, and it is a different ending.
Yeah.
It's a different ending now.
Because that's what I was trying to figure out. I was watching that scene. And it's a very moving scene. I thought it was done really well.
Yeah. Before he was there for him.
And yeah, Vera steps up straight away.
Yeah.
And then everybody else is like, you
That
could
snaps
see.
them back into action a bit there.
But they're all a bit gutted, aren't they? Kenneth Branagh looks like I've been the biggest arsehole ever.
And he's full of apologies, and he, you know, and Peter's kind of putting on a brave face because, like you said, it was so different then. But he's very much, he starts going, it's not full, it could be ages before it goes full blown. He's sort of trying to keep them perky, really. And then he's sort of saying, come on, Roger, get the guitar, this is a party. And he goes and he goes to the kitchen to get coffee for Andrew. And that's where him and Vera have a moment. And it's so sweet and so poignant. She's upset, but she is the epitome of stoicism. She is stoic, you know. And he sort of said, I can't remember, he says something like, I thought you don't approve, or you wouldn't, you think I deserve it. I can't remember the phrase he uses, but she says, how can you say that about me? I've always loved you. I've just hated seeing you waste your potential. You've not fulfilled your promise.
Great line.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's just been there for him all the time. And we've never known him to, we've never known anything about his mum, so we can assume she's not been around for a long time. Vera's basically been his mum.
See, this is where, for me, like I said, I had a lot of issues with the film, but this was good.
Yeah.
This was really, really good.
You associate with the downstairs staff.
The human emotion.
But I do find this moving, and also, like I said earlier, like the Paul and Vera they know their place around and adjacent to this group.
Yeah.
She knows her place. Her place has been basically Peter's surrogate mum. It's just so lovely. And so we go back to the room. We return to the vibes at the beginning. They're all trying to remember the underground song. They're trying to perk themselves up. Roger's got his guitar out. They're all like joking around. And
So second shot of slow moving past the Christmas tree.
Oh my God.
You've probably not picked up on it. You've not.
because it doesn't bother me.
Oh, it bothered me a lot.
Okay, well, you need to get over that. Peter then says, I've got something funny to show you. And he goes off and finds the photograph from 10 years before, exactly 10 years that day, from New Year's Eve 1982, where they're all kind of, semi-undressed, having just performed in makeup around the kitchen table of this house. And so all the gang and Vera are huddled around laughing at it, because Vera and Paul are on it as well, which is lovely. They remember the underground song, they start to sing it, they kind of work out the words as they're singing it, they're camping it up, falling about with laughter. It's a scene of old friends having the best time. Vera moves. Now I like this, but you're going to say it's clumpy. Vera moves to the doorway of the kitchen and Paula's on the other side of the doorway. And so they are framing the shot as they look out at this scene, at this group of friends. And then the camera leaves them and goes back to the friends. And it is a sort of, as the camera takes, it freeze frames the shot as Peter is in the centre of his best mate, laughing his head off, looking the happiest ever been, and he's frozen in time. And that's when the titles go, and it's As the Days Go By, the song at the end. The end. So, got to the end of the story. Tell me, honestly, but I'll disagree with you. What did you think?
I thought the film had its moments. It is a film of its time.
Okay,
right?
yeah.
You know, as we talked about during the synopsis and going through the movie, there's scenes that wouldn't happen now, and they would be done differently.
Well, the rape scene.
I thought, you know, obviously lots of it's overacted, and it was like stage play acting more than film acting. You know, they're not every single actor in this is really, really good at their craft and really good at what they do. I just think it was scenes where it was too signposted, they were too loud, and it was, to me, it was the direction of it.
It's interesting what you say though, because back then, and now to be fair, these are theatre actors.
Yeah, exactly.
And it feels like it could be on. It could be on.
So one of the things I did think about, So one of the things I did think about this was this will probably make a better stage play than it has a film, right? Yeah. I loved the emotion. Yeah, I loved the emotion at the end. Yeah. You know, as I say, I was waiting for something to happen. You know, as you've said, your partner says you like films where nothing happens, right?
Well, I would say everything happens when it's human emotion.
Well, so I was waiting for something to happen because I was thinking, there's no funeral. The dad's already died and been gone, so that wasn't the reason they were getting together, right? So what was the reason? And then obviously it happens in the final 10 minutes of the movie. I knew something was going on, but I couldn't quite figure it out. And as I said, I thought he'd got some kind of terminally ill cancer or something. I didn't see I was going to have HIV positive, but I also forgot the time period it was set in. So if I thought, like I said, I like every single actor in it. Nobody did a bad job, but it was just the way. I think it was more to do with the direction. I think Kenneth Branagh, obviously it's quite early on within his directorial career. I think if he was to redirect this now, it'd be slightly more toned down a little bit.
It's like, what, 40 years on, something, isn't it? It's more than, no.
33, dude. So,
40 years,
you know, 7 years over 40 years, but, you know, who's counting? Who's counting? I thought it was enjoyable. I didn't hate it. I didn't hate the movie.
Would you watch it again?
Probably not.
Would you recommend it to anybody? Or is there anyone particular in your life that you think, oh, that's someone that... I know people that would like it, even though it's not for me.
Do you know, I would recommend it to my eldest daughter who wants to be a film director.
Oh, don't tell me you tell her not to do this.
No, not to not do it, but just how to build up certain things with a movie. I thought certain things were really well. I'd also recommend it for the soundtrack.
It's a
simple as that.
Soundtrack.
I know, as I was going through the movie, I just thought, wow, this soundtrack just takes me back, you know.
I think it's very much over here, isn't it?
Yeah. And if that's what posh people listen to, I'm happily listen to this.
I think you're getting hung up on the posh, and I get it. Because, well, my point is, do you not ever feel like that about all of Richard Curtis's films as well?
No, because Richard Curtis live on a high street. They don't have a stately home.
But only Peter has a stately home. Only Peter.
But we don't see enough of the others. But this is set there.
Maggie's got a flat.
But we don't see it properly. We don't see the stuff properly.
Mary and Roger have got, like, I guess, a semi-detached. I don't know. You do see it.
Richard Curtis movies, For Wednesday a Funeral, you see them running out of their terraced apartment, house. At the beginning, Notting Hill, you see him in his...
It's in Notting Hill.
Yeah, but he's still living in a terraced house where, you know, there's bits
It's
of
Notting
bikes
Hill.
Everywhere.
It's Notting Hill.
Yeah.
He's got money. And he works in a bookshop.
He owns a bookshop.
Oh, even worse. You're not
Yeah.
going to get any money then if you own it.
So yeah, but it's a different vibe. But like I say, it didn't draw me in with the characters.
Okay.
You know?
Well, there was some criticism at the time when this came out. I think the soundtrack did better than the film. Genuinely, I think it sold a gazillion things.
Yeah.
I don't know how many it sold. It sold a lot. But there was criticism because it felt like it might be a bit too meta, basically, because this was a real group of uni friends, a lot of them who were involved. And I don't have a problem with that. Because, as you said, they're all great actors. There's no reason why you can't act together. But I think it's Emma Thompson, Stephen Fry, Hugh Laurie, and Tony Slattery were at Cambridge together, as was Martin Bergman, who was the co-writer. So then he married Rita Rudner, who came in as well as co-writer. And then, obviously, Kenneth Branagh married Emma Thompson, so came in. So what I love about this film is, and it's a slightly meta point, this group of uni friends had outsiders within it. Now, Kenneth Branagh is playing an insider in the film, but he is an outsider. He's a working class lad from Belfast. We know this. We've watched Belfast. He's talked about his upbringing a lot since Belfast was made. But back then, and I don't want to put words in his head or anything, but I get the impression he was full of imposter syndrome. He'd moved from Belfast to Reading. I have read Belfast, and he put on an accent to fit in here. He had a Northern Irish accent when Belfast. He came over here when he was a kid, had to fit in on the playground as people do. Put on an English accent. Next thing he's at RADA. He didn't go to Cambridge. He didn't go to university. He went to RADA, which meant because he could act. And next thing he's like the king of Shakespeare. And so I think there's been a lot of imposter syndrome, outsiderness fitting in with him. Certainly this period, maybe. Not so much now, maybe.
Yeah.
Who knows? But I like that this film plays about with that theme, like insiders and outsiders. I always like that as a theme.
But maybe that's one of the things where I felt just a little bit disconnected a little bit to the characters. Maybe, if it was to rewatch it again, maybe they all not like in real life know each other too well, so it's like an in thing with them, and it was hard to break into that. It's just these are my personal views, so you can't be wrong.
No, it's fine, but I would say the opposite for me. I felt very much like I was in it, even though I didn't feel like any of the facts of their lives or anything to do with me.
And the other thing that maybe where I struggled a little bit is that I've never been to university. I mean, I know I'm really, really clever, and you probably think you have been to university. I've not been to university.
Have you been to University of Life?
I
believe that's also valid.
So I think maybe that's where I also struggled as well, because that friend group, like you often talk about some of your friends and you go how you love to go and meet them again after uni and stuff.
I often talk about it like I did at the beginning of the podcast.
Yes. Where I don't have that, so maybe that is a thing. And
I can't say. All I know is I didn't go to Cambridge or anything like Cambridge. My experience.
But you have a group of friends that you'd have never have met unless you went to university, and then you all went back off on your own lives, and then you come back together every now and then.
Yeah. Country, then
so I don't have that.
I get that. Yes, I think. Because I have my sixth form friends who are all from the area I still live in, and a lot of them are still there. And I see them not that regularly, a couple of times a year we get together. But that feels different because they've always been around and we're all in the same area. Whereas going to see the people there's always people down south, like London and the Midlands and stuff. Yes, I agree that is different because you all scatter and then you come back.
I've not got that in my life, so I don't understand that.
I think there's something there. I don't think you have to go to university to relate to the friends you make when you're young. They can last forever. So, for example, if you went to school, I think. Did you go to
I'm shocked you did. Yeah, of course I went to school.
You also had jobs as a young man where you didn't have the responsibilities you then ultimately had. And I think the friends you make when you're in those early jobs where you can go for drinks after work every night, or those school friends you make who are all in the same road or the primary school people, who all are in the area. There's something about those friends that you make them because of basically geography. You make them because you're in the same place at the same time. But if you're young and you have all these the stuff that goes on when you're young is so much more intense than when you're 40 odd. Because you're not falling in and out of love, well, some people are, but generally you're not falling in and out of love or getting your heart broken or having to move house to find digs or to move for a job. You basically, a lot of people are settled by the time they're 40, not necessarily happily, but there's kind of progress slows down because you're kind of finding where you fit. And so the friends that you make from an early age, you'll all end up very different because you're all different people. You're only together because of geography in an earlier time in your life, and yet because you went through such experiences together, such the power of intense experiences, you're kind of welded together forever. More so than if you make a new friend now. I mean, A, do you ever make a new friend now? It's hard. And B, it's usually because you have something incredibly similar in common, like an ideology or more realistically a child at the same school. That's the thing, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, saying that football made friends going to the football.
Yeah, so you've got the thing in common, which is the football, not just the fact you were a group of disparate people at the same time in the same place. Anyway, I find it that really universal. There's something about, we're going to talk about AIDS now. There's something about the ending that I remember at the time feeling this, and I felt it when I watched Conclave. So you've not seen Conclave yet, have you?
Does the Pope have AIDS?
It's not. No, the Pope's not.
Is that why we had to go?
Yes, that's all right. There's something about the ending of Conclave, and I'm not going to give spoilers because you've not seen it, and I'm not going to. This isn't about Conclave. But when I read the book, which I did when it came out, I think 2012, maybe, sometime like that, I read the book. And it's a really good book, and it's a really good film, and everyone should watch it. I felt like the ending had been tacked on slightly, as though they wanted to throw in a hot potato of a topic.
Yeah.
That's all I'm going to say about Conclave. What I'm going to say about Peter's Friends is, when you said you were waiting all the way through for sort of the reason, I wasn't. And I know I was 15, but I wasn't daft. I consumed lots of films, and I read lots of novels. So I kind of was, for me, I was happy with just the fact that these people were getting together and these were old friends and tensions were running high because life was got in the way. So I wasn't waiting for an ending. So when it came out at the end that Peter's HIV positive, I found it like, hey, whoa, twist. Ooh, okay. That's a thing. That's an ending. But I also found it like, oh, that's the hot topic at the moment. It felt like it was a hot topic. And I don't know whether or not I don't know if I still agree with it, because basically the topic itself has changed so much since 1992.
Yeah.
We know now that, if you are HIV positive, you can live a healthy
Full
life.
life,
Take your medication and manage it, and you can be around for decades and decades and decades. So the ending is completely changed. Peter is not looking at a death sentence. But at the time I thought it felt like they'd thrown in something that was in the news. And I don't know. It's hard. That's not how it is now. So it doesn't really matter.
So this is why I was expecting cancer, because I knew something was up. There was a reason to get them there, and as I say, I forgot the time period. We were late 80s, early 90s was the whole
92.
Yeah.
Oh, so
no, that 8. Yeah. But even if it was thrown in, I thought it was quite well done.
I found the last sort of freeze frame picture of him so poignant back then as well. And I still find it poignant now because I remember watching it the first time when it was much more of a grim ending. He's frozen in time and he's smiling and laughing and it's his best happy self. And it reminds me a little bit of, Thelma and Louise music now. And they sort of go over the cliff at the end.
You don't know.
It's frozen.
Yeah.
And we don't ever have to deal with the aftermath. Yeah. The aftermath is they die in a fiery wreck. The aftermath of Peter's Friends is he dies. Hopefully not alone and not, hopefully he's got support, but equally it's going to be soon.
The group of friends, I would imagine, would be there to support him. That was the point of the movie. I need my real friends, and they were there for him.
I like this script a lot. I think it is funny. Do all the jokes... Are all the jokes appropriate now? Maybe not. But I still think it slaps. There is a high joke rate, considering there's also real poignancy and drama and tension. I do think it's a funny script. I feel like I can see Rita Rudner's hand all over it. I think it's funny. What I like as well is that she's American, her husband is British, and he's Cambridge British, as in, I guess he's as posh as the rest of them. There's an equal amount of ribbing between like Brits and American sort of humour, I think it doesn't feel like it's sort of let's all take the piss out of British people, and also it's not let's take the piss out of American people. There's a balance, and everyone is basically their hard edges are rounded off by the end.
Yeah, I felt like the American character thrown in was slightly to appeal to American audiences as well, because it is a very British film.
It is. Apparently, it was meant to be for an American cast originally, but then Kenneth Branagh got involved and it was all changed.
It was a very, very British film.
Yeah. So I did some wider reading.
Of course.
Well, it's interesting. I don't know why you don't. I did struggle to find quite a lot, though. You know, for example, when I Googled Rocky discourse, shed loads of people have their opinions. There's a lot of opinions.
But the thing with a film like this, it is a very small niche.
Yeah.
And this was just as the internet was starting to happen, 92. The next few years, the internet went through the roof. And because this didn't do mega success, you will have a smaller niche of people writing about
it
stuff
did make
like
a
that.
success in my heart.
Yes, because that's where the internet is based, isn't it? Yeah.
If only.
Yeah. But yeah, so I did imagine it would be a small wiki about it.
There's not much analysis of discourse. Like a few reviews, you know, and there were mixed reviews. Some people thought it was great, other people thought, 3 stars. But I found a blog piece by Christopher James, and I think the blog is called The Gay Best Friend. Yeah. And he wrote, there will be a link in the notes, as always.
Yeah.
And he talked about how this film handles the reveal of Peter's health really, really well. Because he's not outed. No one has found this out about him and then blabs. I mean, he gets to control the narrative when he tells.
But again, I would say that is pre-internet, where, you know, obviously he's a lord. Yeah. So he
Lord
would
Morton.
Be targeted now by people to go, we need to out this. It's how it's changed, you know.
And even when Peter suggests that Vera might not, she might disapprove of his lifestyle, which presumably is gay. That's a shorthand for that. Yeah. She doesn't say that. She doesn't imply that she wishes, oh yeah, you were straight, you got married and had kids. She just doesn't want him to waste his potential. She's not sort of wishing him to have a life that's not his.
Yeah.
And it does show how, like, marriage and kids isn't necessarily the happy ever after. There's still trauma and stress and heartbreak there. Life's more complicated than those sort of black and white issues. So I like that piece. It sort of was a nice piece to sort of break down. The other thing that always stuck in my head about the ending, and I don't know if this is possibly a Googleable point that I should have done. Sarah, when the aftermath of him announcing he's HIV positive, they're all shocked, and Sarah goes, "Do you have any idea who you got it from?" And Peter goes, "Oh, you know, but I don't think it matters now, does it?" And that's it. Now all we know is that Sarah slept with him in the past. It's a throwaway line, and it does not need to be said. It doesn't. When Maggie says she slept with Sarah, it does not need to be said at any point for the narrative. So I wonder, was something cut where, like, you know, she's worried, or is it just, I don't know.
No, I think the way I read it in terms of he slept with Sarah, it was like the uni days. I understand that. So it was before.
I understand that, but there was no reason to say it because it doesn't take us anywhere.
No.
It doesn't move the story out. So the fact that that's thrown in,
but
it's not even a gag.
Yeah, but I think it's just to show what Sarah's character was like. It's not just she's like this with Brian. Poor script writing,
well,
maybe.
The point is, like, Sarah presuming at that point is like, shit, I need to get tested. I just think Sarah, if I was Sarah, I'd be worried. Now, the Googleable point is, how long before you slept with someone could they find out? You know what I'm doing. I can't say the words. It may be not a thing. But I just thought that was an interesting point that stood out to me in my head at the time in 92 or 93 whenever I watched it, but never really gets resolved. And again, I'm just going to repeat it because this is good news. I'm going to repeat the fact that Roger says at the end, there's always a chance they can discover a cure, and it does date the film, and how bloody marvellous. Yeah. Now, if you watch that and don't think death sentence, how science is, I mean, it's so good. In the Western world, at least, I understand that there are issues with education in other countries, but I do love that we now know that, there's campaigns U equals U, which I think is undetectable equals untransferable. I need to Google that. U equals U is the big campaign.
Right.
You get PrEP if you're with a partner who's HIV positive and you can be safe. It's so good. The science that's come on loads, medication, people take 4 tablets a day and they can manage it. And the difference between our childhoods in the 80s and the early 90s of hearing, you'd hear, for example, one day Freddie Mercury announces he's HIV positive, and 2 days later he's dead. Yeah. God Hudson.
But it also refers back to me that amazing series It's a Sin.
Yes.
When you see how the journey was, that was set mid-80s, wasn't it? I think.
I think it was 84. I don't know. Yeah.
85, 86, because Erasure was in the movie.
But it goes back right to the beginning of when the sort of the virus was first being heard of in circles. So it's probably 81, 82 at that time, beginning.
Yeah. But shows you how much it's transformed now. And then obviously the other movie, which is amazing, Pride, and the character is
Mark Ashton.
No, not Mark Ashton, the guy who's still alive today from that era.
Yeah, yes. I followed him on Twitter, but I got rid of your Twitter.
Yeah,
Johnny?
Basically, he refused the medication and he's still alive today.
Well, that was the early medical.
The early medication. Yeah. I'm not implying anything by that. But the early medication, I'm sure.
There were trials and things. There are people who were HIV positive at the time were like, well, I might as well go on the trial because, that was...
I mean, I will say now that we've just brought up the movie Pride, I am sure it will come up in the future on this podcast. But just a pre-spoiler warning, this is a film we both love.
Yeah,
so it doesn't, but it is a great movie to talk about.
Yeah. The final bit, or the final word I want to say. Have you got any more final words?
I'll let you have the final word for once.
This makes me laugh. So I was looking for, like I say, discourse. Yeah. And I did struggle to find lots, but I did find a website. And I guess they must comment on all sorts of films, but it's called the Movie Guide website, and the subtitle is The Family Guide to Movies and Entertainment. And it's kind of like if you're a parent and you want to double check what's in the film.
I've come across websites like that. Yeah.
So I can tell you that in Peter's Friends, according to this website, and there'll be a link in the show notes, there are 43 obscenities and 9 exclamatory profanities. There is implied fornication, adultery, bisexuality, man infected with HIV virus, crude references to genitalia and sexual innuendo, rear nudity, I think that's Tony Slaughter, guzzling alcohol, drunkenness and smoking cigars, and this makes me laugh, an inappropriate joke about God. Do you know what it says it in brackets? I can tell you what the inappropriate joke about God is.
Tell me.
If there is a God, he must take a lot of long lunches. It's not appropriate.
What?
And it goes on to say, Peter's friend brings to mind the words of Jeremiah 6:15. Are they ashamed of their loathsome... Oh, I can't see that bit because there's a little... Can you see there's a little bit of a pop-up just over the ending? But it's a bit of Bible stuff for anyone of you knows that. Something, have no shame at all. They do not even know how to blush. Nothing quite gels in this mediocre film. Characters nitpick and lock horns, but their annoying disputes are anything but funny. Most surprising is the lack of chemistry among the cast. Peter's friend strains to show warmth and compassion. Doesn't have any to spare. Don't even begin to say you agree with it.
Can I just say I didn't write that? No, I disagree with that. I disagree with that. Like, the cast are quite warm together. A criticism I actually made was like maybe they're too close in because they are friends outside of but I completely disagree with that whatsoever.
Good. Yeah. We're on the same page for that. Oh, next week you're going to pick a film.
Yay! I take back control.
I don't enjoy it when you pick them, and I have to do a lot of watching things I'm not enjoying. Okay, do you know what you know what you're doing?
Yes, I know what I'm doing. You'll have to. Yeah.
And if people want to find you, where can they see you elsewhere?
I'm on Toffees R Us on YouTube.
And I'm at nickybond.com, or you can look for the Lisa McCall Life Stories online. So, thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, and see you later.
Oh my God.